In Revenge of the Sith, Darth Vader is born in fire. Mustafar takes Anakin's limbs, his breath, his future. Palpatine doesn't rebuild him out of compassion. He rebuilds him the way you rebuild a wrecked starfighter. Functional, owned, replaceable. For a long time, Vader convinces himself that's the trade. He tells himself the Jedi earned their fate. He tells himself Padmé's death proved love was weakness. He tells himself the name Anakin Skywalker is gone. Now change one thing. What if something happens that makes that story impossible to keep repeating? What if Darth Vader joins the Rebel Alliance? Let's begin. 18 years after the Republic falls, Vader stands on the bridge of an Imperial Star Destroyer and watches hyperspace swallow the stars. The galaxy still looks beautiful from up here. That's the cruel part. Everything outside is endless light, and everything inside him is a sealed room. Technicians work on his suit in a maintenance bay, hands shaking as they recalibrate servos and seal breathing lines. They avoid his gaze like eye contact is a death sentence. Vader catches his reflection in a polished strip of metal. Scar tissue, yellow eyes, a face that looks like a corpse that learned how to move. When he isn't thinking about orders, he thinks about Padmé. Not the choking, not the last screams, the earlier memories. Naboo air that smelled like water and gardens. Her laugh when she thought he was being dramatic. The way she said his name like it carried a future. He crushes those thoughts the moment they surface. He tells himself the only way forward is total commitment. No cracks, no grief, no guilt. Then the mission comes. Kashyyyk. The Empire calls it a security operation, a containment of hostile locals. That's what they say when they don't want to speak the truth out loud. Vader drops into a green world that feels alive in a way Coruscant never did. Wookiees move through the canopy like shadows with claws. Blaster fire snaps between trunks. War cries echo from platforms above, shaking the air. The forest smells like sap, smoke, and something ancient that refuses to kneel. Vader moves through it like a storm. His suit is heavy and the planet's humidity clings to every joint, but he's learned how to turn weight into momentum. Every step is a threat. Every breath is a metronome. Wookiees throw everything they have at him, and it buys them seconds, not safety. Jedi survivors are with them. That hits Vader like relief and insult at the same time. Relief because a lightsaber gives him a clean target. Insult because it reminds him what he used to be. They come fast, the way an Anakin used to fight before the suit. Vader can't dance like that anymore, so he drags the duel into a grind. He absorbs strikes, forces distance, punishes every overreach. When it ends, 4 lightsabers lie in the mud, cooling like dead coals. The report will call it success. Afterward, an Imperial commander approaches, holding a datapad like it's radioactive. Lord Vader, High Command directives. The prisoners are being loaded onto transports. Labor allocation. They're being reassigned. Vader doesn't speak. The words sit on the screen like a polite mask over something monstrous. Reassigned. Allocation. The Empire always sounds calm when it's doing violence. Vader already knows what those transports mean. Collars, mines, shipyards, Wookiee bodies turned into work quotas. The forest around him still burns in places. Heat rises, smoke stings. But the heat inside Vader isn't from this planet. It's from sand and metal. A child watching other children get bought. A mother with a number. A life where your body belongs to someone else. Vader's helmet turns toward the commander. "Stop the sweep," Vader says. "My lord?" "Call your troops back. No more hunting." The commander swallows. "The order comes from—" "I know where it comes from," Vader says, voice dropping. The air thickens. The commander's breath catches like the Force has hands around his lungs. "Prepare my shuttle." Vader leaves Kashyyyk like the planet itself rejected him. Back on Coruscant, he goes straight to the Emperor. Palpatine greets him like a man admiring a weapon that performed well. He praises efficiency. He praises fear. He praises obedience. Every compliment is a chain wrapped in velvet. Vader kneels because that's the ritual, but something in him refuses to bow on the inside. "The Wookiees," Vader says. "Why?" Palpatine's smile doesn't vanish. It just shifts, the way a blade shifts when it catches light. "My apprentice," Sidious says gently. You sound like Anakin Skywalker, like the boy who still remembers chains. Vader's fists tighten. Sidious steps closer, voice warm and poisonous. The underworld enslaves for profit. The Empire organizes for destiny. We take disorder and make it useful. We take rebellion and turn it into unity. Those captives will build what will keep this galaxy safe. He says safe the way a tyrant always says safe. Then he turns away. Conversation ended without raising his voice. No anger, no drama, just a man who believes the galaxy belongs to him. Vader stays kneeling after the doors close, staring at empty air. He tries to force Sidious's logic into his mind like it should fit. It doesn't. For the first time in years, Vader doesn't feel hatred for the Jedi. He feels revulsion for the machine he serves. And beneath that revulsion is something colder. Clarity. That night, he sinks into a bacta tank longer than usual, staring into blue liquid like it might erase him. His mind flickers through memories he's spent years burying. Obi-Wan's face on Mustafar, Ahsoka walking away, his mother dying in his arms, Padmé looking at him like she didn't recognize the man speaking. The truth lands in a line he can't dodge. He didn't join Sidious to save anyone. He joined because he was terrified of losing. Now the galaxy is paying for that fear. He doesn't wake up noble or kind. He wakes up deliberate. On the surface, he remains the monster the Empire needs. Officers still die for failure. Rebels still get crushed. The Emperor still receives trophies. But Vader starts studying how cruelty works as a system, how massacres become paperwork, how arrests become schedules, how fear becomes policy. And when Jedi survivors cross his path, something changes, not in the fight. Vader still hits hard. Vader still wins when he can. The change happens around it. A door that should lock stays open. A patrol turns the wrong way. A shuttle gets clearance it shouldn't have. An Imperial net tightens and somehow misses. People escape. Vader never calls it mercy, he calls it damage. Then comes Morirana. The Empire receives intel about Jedi activity on a remote world. A handful of survivors, a quiet cell. Vader goes personally because he wants it clean. Quick slaughter, proof of loyalty. No loose ends for Sidious to question. Morirana welcomes him with a trap. The landing pad collapses like the ground itself is trying to swallow him. Vader's shuttle drops into darkness and debris. Troopers scream as lightsabers ignite above. Vader tears his way out, suit damaged, one leg dragging for a heartbeat before he forces it to obey. He raises his blade. A stolen ion cannon fires. Blue energy punches into his chest plate. His systems lock. His body goes rigid. The world flips away. When he wakes, he's upright, bound with a restraint field that bites like cold wire. His limbs are locked mechanically. His suit is half responsive. He can't even clench his hand properly. Beyond the doorway, silhouettes watch him like you watch a caged predator, waiting to see if the bars hold. He senses 3 Jedi Knights, a Jedi Master, fear, anger, and something else. A presence he buried so deep he told himself it died. The door opens. Light spills in, harsh enough that for a second Vader thinks he's hallucinating. Shapes sharpen. Footsteps approach. A familiar cadence in the air, then a voice he hasn't heard since his life burned. Is it true? Vader's chest tightens against machinery that doesn't care about emotions. Padmé Amidala steps into the room, alive. Bail and Obi-Wan got her off Polis Massa, and the Emperor buried the truth like it never happened. Vader freezes. Palpatine told him she died. Palpatine told him the story ended. Padmé walks closer with hands that tremble despite her control. She reaches for the seals of his mask. Click, release. A practiced motion, like she already decided she needed the truth even if it destroyed her. The helmet lifts. Air hits his scarred face like a shock. Padmé stares into his yellow eyes. Her breath catches. Her expression doesn't soften. It breaks. Vader speaks without the filter, voice raw. I loved you. Padmé's hand moves fast. She slaps him across the cheek. The sting is real, and that reality feels worse than pain. Vader swallows, and the question tears out of him because it's the only thing that matters. Our child. Padmé's eyes fill with agony so quickly it looks like the grief has been waiting behind her eyelids for years. They lived, she says. Vader's whole body tightens. What? The twins, Padmé says, voice shaking. They survived, and you were never meant to know. The room tilts. Vader's mind flashes through everything he did. The temple, the younglings, the kneel before Sidious, the murders he tried to rename as duty. He did it all chasing a future Sidious dangled in front of him like bait, and the children were alive the whole time. Hidden, protected from him. For a heartbeat, emptiness swallows him. Then rage rises like a tidal wave, replacing numbness so fast it feels like oxygen. The walls tremble. Dust lifts. The restraint field strains. The Jedi rush in with ignited blades, instinctively putting themselves between him and Padmé. Padmé raises a hand. Stop, she says, and the room listens. This isn't for me, she adds, eyes locked on Vader. If he breaks, it'll be aimed at the man who lied to him. Vader's breathing turns uneven. The ceiling creaks. Then the pressure collapses like a storm finally leaving shore. Vader sags against the restraints. His voice drops into something small. What do I do? Padmé stares at him like she's deciding whether she's looking at a man or a weapon. Her eyes don't forgive. They assess. In a fair galaxy, she says quietly, you'd be imprisoned for life. Vader doesn't argue. He can't. But we don't live in a fair galaxy, Padmé continues. We live under the empire you helped build. People are disappearing. Children are being dragged into chains again. She steps closer and her tone hardens. If you want to make up for anything, you help bring it down from the inside. Vader shakes his head once. He'll feel it. Yes, Padmé says, he will. And maybe that's what you deserve. Vader looks up at her, shame and need mixing into something ugly. Why would you even… He stops. He can't say trust. He doesn't deserve that word. Padmé exhales a bitter laugh. It isn't trust, she says. It's desperation. You broke the galaxy, and you're still useful. She drops a small communication puck onto the floor in front of him like it's a sentence being handed down. Then she turns away. As the door closes, Vader hears her break. A sound she didn't want him to hear. Vader is left alone with the puck and the Jedi watching through the adjacent room like they expect him to explode again. After a long moment, he forces his locked fingers to move. He picks up the puck. He activates it. A hologram flickers. Bail Organa looks at him without blinking. I won't call you Vader, Bail says. Not here. Not if you choose this. Vader's throat tightens. You'll be Wraith, Bail continues. A channel, a knife in the dark. You will send us truth. You will not ask for forgiveness. You will earn minutes of tolerance with results. Vader lowers his head. Bail's eyes stay cold. If you betray this, you die. If you succeed, you still answer for what you've done. We will be in contact. The hologram fades, and Darth Vader begins living a double life that can kill him in 100 quiet ways. On Coruscant, he returns to Sidious with the same posture, the same obedience, the same mask of devotion. He measures every sentence. He learns how to bury his emotions so deep they don't ripple through the Force. Sidious still trains him as you'd train property. As an owner tuning a blade, Vader plays the role. Then, in the hours the palace thinks are empty, he steals what the rebellion actually needs: shipment schedules, fuel routes, troop redeployments, prison transfers, factory expansions, Kyber shipments that vanish into projects no one is allowed to name. He encrypts everything and passes it through the underbelly of Coruscant, meeting Bail in alleys where even light feels afraid to linger. Sometimes Vader asks about Padmé. Bail answers without softening. She's alive, he says, and she's working. Vader accepts that because he has no right to ask for comfort. Meanwhile, the Empire changes shape. Clone troopers fade out, new recruits take their place. Officers talk more openly about obedience and less about honor. The machine becomes cleaner, colder, more efficient at crushing people. Vader watches it happen and realizes something that makes his skin crawl. Sidious isn't just ruling. Sidious is redefining what the galaxy accepts. One day, Vader is summoned to the Emperor's office beneath the Senate building. The air feels wrong before he even steps inside. Tarkin is there. Yularen is there. Men who smile with their mouths and calculate with their eyes. Sidious sits like a patient spider. I believe, the Emperor says, there is a leak inside my empire. Silence. Sidious lays out missing files and access patterns, calm as a surgeon. Then his voice softens into something intimate. When the traitor is found, he says, everyone they love will suffer, publicly, slowly, as instruction. Vader keeps his mask still. Inside, anxiety claws at him. Leaving that office, he understands the truth. The net is closing. So Vader makes a decision that isn't noble. It's survival. He needs to move from bleeding the Empire to cutting its throat. He doesn't march into the throne room and announce rebellion. That would last 3 seconds. He goes back to the one place that already cracked him open. Morirana. Padmé's people have a hidden route for extraction. Vader uses it to vanish from Imperial sight for the first time since Mustafar. He doesn't run to freedom. He runs to the only side that might have a chance to kill the Emperor. The rebels track his shuttle and surround it with fighters like they're escorting a plague. Vader doesn't land inside their base. He lands on ice. An empty white world where sound dies quickly, like the planet doesn't want to witness anything. He steps out alone, cape snapping in the wind, and waits. Leia Organa arrives with a small team, blaster aimed at his chest like her anger can keep her alive. Han Solo is there too, because the Alliance always has at least one smuggler who thinks caution is optional. Chewbacca stands beside him, silent and massive, ready to rip Vader in half if the moment goes bad. Leia's eyes are hard. Talk. Vader's voice comes out steady. I offer my allegiance. Han lets out a sharp, disbelieving sound. Sure. And I'm the Emperor. Leia doesn't flinch. Proof. Vader sets a data cylinder onto the snow between them. Fleet rotations, he says. Prison coordinates, supply lines, security codes that will get you through checkpoints your people keep dying at. Leia's finger tightens on the trigger. Why now? Vader's helmet tilts slightly. The wind fills the space where an excuse could live. Because I heard him call slavery unity, he says, and I couldn't unhear it at. Leia's jaw clenches. That doesn't erase what you've done. It doesn't, Vader says. I'm not asking for absolution. Han's eyes narrow. Then what are you asking for? A path to Sidious, Vader says, before he buries all of you. The debate back at Rebel Command is vicious. Mon Mothma wants him executed, not out of emotion, out of stability. A figure like Vader inside the Alliance could crack morale overnight. Others argue that wars aren't won by comfort. They're won by advantage, and Vader is the Empire's advantage turned inside out. The compromise is cold. Vader won't be celebrated. He won't walk freely. He will be used, watched, isolated. They bring him to a hidden rebel base in deep jungle ruins and keep weapons trained on him like he's a bomb that might decide to go off. The Alliance isn't a family yet. It's a coalition held together by fear, hope, and desperate math. Vader accepts the terms without complaint because he knows he deserves worse. He sits in war rooms and speaks in short, blunt sentences. Hit the foundry and their starfighter production slows. Choke the fuel route and garrisons start starving. Strike the convoy on this day because the escort rotation shifts at this hour. General Dodonna listens like a man being handed the enemy's pulse. Captain Rex is there too, older now, scars across his face and a look in his eyes that says he's lived through too many betrayals. Rex speaks once, quiet and sharp. I fought beside you, he says, and I watched what you became. Vader nods. Then watch what I choose now. The most dangerous visitor isn't Mon Mothma, it's Bail. Bail arrives because he needs to see reality with his own eyes. Vader hasn't slaughtered them. Vader hasn't burned the base to the ground. That fact alone opens a crack in Bail's certainty. The hatred stays anyway. He is Padmé's friend. He carried secrets that kept children alive. He heard Obi-Wan's broken voice describe Mustafar. Bail looks at Vader like he's staring at a storm that could return at any moment. This is necessity, Bail says, not trust. Vader doesn't argue. Then Bail makes the move that changes the air in the room. He sends for Obi-Wan Kenobi. When Obi-Wan arrives, even hardened rebels feel it. Not awe, not fear, relief mixed with grief, like the galaxy remembers what calm used to look like. Kenobi walks into the base with tired eyes and a posture that still carries the weight of the old order. He reaches the room where Vader waits. The door shuts. For a long moment, nothing happens. Then Vader speaks first, voice low. "Hello, Master?" Obi-Wan's eyes hold pain that never healed. "Anakin." The name hits like a shock. Vader doesn't correct him. He removes his helmet for a few seconds, just long enough for Obi-Wan to see the ruined face and recognize the boy beneath the wreckage. Then the lack of air forces the mask back on, seals clicking like a prison door. Obi-Wan swallows. "Why are you here?" Vader's answer is simple: to end Sidious. Obi-Wan's voice hardens. "And after that?" Vader pauses. "After that? I don't know what I'm allowed to be." Outside the room, Leia listens. She has watched Vader since his arrival with a feeling she refuses to name. Something familiar that makes no sense. A pull she hates herself for noticing. When Obi-Wan steps out, Leia confronts him instantly. "Should I know him?" Obi-Wan's face tightens. He looks back through the doorway at Vader. Then he looks at Leia and chooses truth over protection. "He is your father," Obi-Wan says. Leia freezes. Her mind races through every report she has ever read, every memory of Alderaan, every face she lost, every nightmare that carried a black helmet at its center. Then she walks into the room. Vader stands still like he's bracing for an execution. Leia's voice shakes with rage. "Tell me it's a lie. It's true," Vader says. Her eyes fill, and she hates that they do. "You killed my people." "I did," Vader says. Leia's throat tightens. "Then why do I feel like I've known you forever?" Vader's hands flex, forcing control. "Because you were taken from me, and I didn't know you existed." Leia's breathing turns sharp. "You didn't know?" "Sidious lied," Vader says, "about everything that mattered." Leia wants to scream. Instead, she speaks through clenched teeth. "You don't get to steal Bail from me." Vader nods once. "I won't." Then he adds, voice quieter, "But if you ever allow it, I want to earn one moment as your father with actions, not titles." Leia stares at him like she's trying to find her mother inside his voice. Silence stretches. Then she steps forward and embraces him once, fast and furious, like she's doing it against her own will. Vader freezes for a heartbeat. Then his arms wrap around her carefully, like she's something breakable he has no right to touch. It doesn't fix anything. It changes what's possible. Luke comes later. He isn't presented as a son. He's brought in as someone the Alliance can't ignore, because talent like that becomes a weapon whether you want it to or not. The first meeting is tense and small. Luke isn't like Leia. Luke's curiosity is practical. He watches Vader's breathing apparatus, the damaged posture, the way the suit moves like a machine that learned to suffer. He looks up and asks a simple question that sounds like a farm boy and a pilot at the same time. "Can you teach me to fly the way you do?" Vader almost laughs. The sound dies in his throat because he doesn't know how to be human in that way anymore. "Yes," he says. "I can." Sidious responds like a predator realizing its prey has teeth. The Imperial net tightens. Inquisitors hunt harder. Crackdowns become public. The Empire stops pretending to be lawful and starts acting like it doesn't need permission. Then Sidious strikes where Vader can't pretend he doesn't care. Padmé is captured. She has been moving in shadows for years, building quiet networks, feeding hope into places the Empire forgot to watch. Sidious finds her anyway, because Sidious always finds the thing you don't want him to touch. When Vader learns the location of her prison, panic rises in him like a sickness. He goes to Obi-Wan and doesn't dress it up. "I need you," Vader says. Obi-Wan's eyes are hard. "Why should I help you?" "Because he will break her to punish me," Vader says. "And because if we fail now, he keeps doing this forever." Obi-Wan exhales slowly. Then he says it, like the word costs him. All right. They go together. The prison world is carved into cliffs, wind screaming through steel corridors like it wants blood. Guards expect to greet Lord Vader and instead meet two ignited lightsabers and a storm of motion. Old rhythm returns without a speech. Vader advances like a battering ram. Obi-Wan reads angles, protects flanks, turns chaos into a path. For brief seconds, it looks like the Clone Wars again, and that memory tastes like rust. They reach the upper cells. They find Padmé. They find Sidious waiting. The Emperor steps out of the shadows smiling like nothing has ever surprised him. Lightning erupts from his hands and slams Vader backward like he weighs nothing. The air fills with the dark side until breathing feels harder. Obi-Wan raises his blade and deflects the storm, teeth clenched, boots sliding on frost. Sidious laughs. "You thought you could hide treason inside my empire," he hisses, voice sliding into their minds. "You thought I wouldn't notice my property wandering." Vader stands, systems streaming. "I should have ended you long ago," Vader says. Sidious draws his saber with speed that doesn't match age. "Then try," the Emperor spits. The duel is brutal. Sidious fights like malice given a body. Obi-Wan holds his ground with discipline and pain. Vader fights like desperation made mechanical, fueled by guilt, by love he never earned back, by the need to stop this nightmare from reaching his children. Sidious cuts Obi-Wan's leg. Kenobi drops hard, barely avoiding the killing follow-up. Vader slams into Sidious, driving him toward the open platform outside where the cliff edge waits like a mouth. Blades lock. Red against blue-white glare. Sidious leans close, voice burrowing into Vader's mind. "You are mine," he whispers. "You always were." Vader's hands shake. Then he looks past Sidious and sees Padmé watching. Not pleading, not romantic, unbroken. Vader makes a choice that isn't about power. It's about ending ownership. He grabs Sidious by both arms and steps backward toward the edge. Sidious's eyes widen. Understanding lands too late. Lightning floods Vader's chest. Armor cooks. Flesh burns. Every warning his suit can produce screams inside him. Vader keeps moving. He steps off the edge and takes Sidious with him. As they fall, Sidious unleashes everything. Rage, lightning, the full weight of the dark side trying to drag Vader back into the leash. Vader holds on anyway. The cliff face explodes as lightning strikes rock. The prison structure shudders. Sections collapse. Obi-Wan crawls into the cell, kills the field, and pulls Padmé free through corridors that are falling apart. They reach the landing pad as the facility cracks and folds. The shuttle lifts into snow and smoke. Below them, the prison collapses into the abyss, and the Emperor of the Galaxy vanishes with it. Hours later, rebels search wreckage like people hunting for a miracle. They find Vader beneath twisted metal, barely breathing. The suit is scorched. His body is broken. His lungs fight like they're drowning. Padmé kneels and removes his mask again, hands shaking. She doesn't smile like everything is fixed. She looks at him like she's seeing a man crawl back from hell. "You did it," she whispers. Vader's eyes, still stained by darkness, soften with something human. "Did we win?" he rasps. Padmé swallows. "We have a chance." Vader tries to speak again, and the words don't come. He doesn't die there. Part of him wants that escape, an ending that dodges accountability. The Alliance refuses to give him that comfort. They keep him alive long enough to face what he became. The Empire doesn't collapse overnight, but it starts eating itself fast. Without Sidious's grip, Moffs fight each other. Admirals panic. Systems defect. Worlds rise because fear finally loses its source. The Alliance moves with precision, using years of stolen knowledge to hit pressure points until the Imperial machine begins to stall. Then the hardest question lands in every rebel war room. What do you do with Anakin Skywalker? Some want him executed. Some want him locked away. Some fear the idea of a Skywalker filling the vacuum and calling it order. Anakin answers the question himself. He refuses the throne. He stands before the leaders of the rebellion, scarred and thin, breathing through a device that clicks softly beneath his ribs, and he speaks plainly. "I will not rule," he says. "I tried to control the galaxy once. I broke it. You will rebuild without my hand on the wheel." Leia watches him with anger that still lives. Luke watches him with hope that still feels dangerous. Obi-Wan watches him with grief that finally has somewhere to go. Anakin stays long enough to blunt the sharpest edges of the war. Then he steps back into the mid-rim, helping where he can. refusing applause, refusing comfort, learning what balance looks like when you can't pretend darkness doesn't exist. Jedi survivors gather again, not as the old order reborn, but as something scarred and wiser. Obi-Wan guides when he must. Ahsoka keeps them honest because she remembers how easy it is for institutions to lie to themselves. Leia chooses her own name because love isn't a bloodline. Skywalker becomes part of her truth too, not a trophy, not a curse, just reality she refuses to fear. Luke leaves the farm because the galaxy needs builders, not just dreamers. He learns the Force with discipline, with questions, with patience his father never had at his age. Padmé lives, not as a fairy tale ending, but as a survivor who refuses to let the Republic die twice. And Anakin Skywalker never escapes what he did. But he stops adding to it. He turns the weapon around. He helps pull the Empire apart from the inside. And he proves one terrifying thing. If Darth Vader joined the Rebel Alliance, the war ends faster. Peace becomes harder. Because winning battles is simple. Living with the cost is the real fight. So here's the question. If you were in that rebel war room, would you keep him alive and use him? Or would you pull the trigger and gamble on winning without him? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you want more Star Wars what-ifs told like this, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you.